Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
If you're a fan of comic books and comic book conventions, Daytona Beach Comic Con needs to be on your list of must-attend events. It's a show that actually focuses on comic books. Imagine that! This year's event is happening on Saturday, September the 6th, and Sunday, September the 7th. Silverline creators will be there, so we'll see you at the show. If you find yourself in the Orlando area, and let's be honest, doesn't everyone come to Orlando for the House of Mouse? Head over to Coliseum of Comics to get your comic book fix. Be sure to check out their location on East Colonial Drive, where they carry a wide selection of independent comics, including Silverline books. Stop by and don't forget to tell them Silverline sent you. Hey, if you're an independent comic creator looking to get your comic printed, look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our comics and do a fantastic job. They can even print special edition covers. When you reach out to them, be sure to tell them Silverline sent you. Looking for a bold way to boost your business? Advertise with Silverline Comics, reaching readers across the U.S. and around the world. Affordable rates, passionate fans, and national and international exposure, all packed inside thrilling, action-packed comics. All ads must be PG-13, perfect for reaching all ages. Spots are limited. Grab your ad space today and become part of the adventure. Silverline Comics, where adventure lives and your brand thrives. Email us at silverlinepublishingllc@gmail.com for more information. And make mine Silverline.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilberg, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have some of our usual crowd, myself, Barb Kilberg, longtime pro, 37 years now, and the venerable Rob Davis, also a longtime pro, 37 years, the wonderful writer, John Madick the Third.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes. And our very, very special guest tonight, we would all like you to welcome the venerable, the honorable, the inimitable Maggie Thompson. Legendary in our... The legendary Maggie Thompson.
I don't know if you saw my jaw drop. I didn't read ahead of time what we were doing today. I don't know if you saw my jaw drop when I saw the title card. I'm like, I think Wayne and Garth, I'm not worthy. Oh my God. Gracious.
Maggie has been the winner of the Bob Clampett Humanitarian Award, the Eisner Award, the Inkpot Award, the Jack Kirby Award, and the Harvey Award. Is there any other awards that you haven't collected yet?
There's a lot. Just look at Wiki. Just look at Wiki. I am very lucky. The Ellen Armstrong, there's a old time radio award, etc. Because I am a nerd. Come on, guys. You can't just do one pop culture, right?
They blend.
We have room for them all, don't we?
Okay, and now I have asked that this image be offered. And so my question for the group is, A, what is IYKYK?
If you know, you know.
You have passed stage 1. Stage 2, you may identify an art style.
Dr. Seuss.
Oh, that's Dr. Seuss. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, why did I? Okay, here's the anecdote leading up to this.
Okay.
Okay, I have a spotlight panel at Comic-Con in San Diego, and I am, get ready for this, the silent generation. My daughter is Gen X. Her son is Gen Z. And so I said to my other child, Stephen Thompson of NPR, I said, what should we call this? Because I want to talk about the pop culture of each generation. And he said, why don't you call it Generation N for nerd? Because that's the goal. We're talking about the pop culture of the different generations. By the way, it was a terrific success. Lots of anecdotes there. Anyway, my daughter makes buttons, and she made this as a button that we could hand to attendees in the audience. Now, in the entirety of my waving this image around for about 2 months, one person saw it. It was at Comic-Con. I've known this guy for years. He looked at it and he went, "Bwah!" Nobody else got it.
You mean nobody's ever read If I Ran the Zoo?
1950, thank you.
1950, If You Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss.
If I Ran the Zoo, this is one of the animals. Very good, very good. And
this is the first time that this word was ever made up. Dr. Seuss coined the phrase.
Coined the word, made the word, first time in print. And
John?
I learned something.
What's the word?
Oh. I thought you meant like the IYKYK. I thought that was like, I was like,
oh, no. Dr. Seuss invented the word. It rhymes with word.
Nerd.
There you go. Yay for Rob Davis.
All right, I'm showing my youth and inexperience here, and like I'm 50, so I'm not that young.
Is
Very inexperienced. I'm shamed.
This is a nerd.
This is the nerd.
So you wear the button, and
if
people
you know,
look at it. If you know, you know, and you have to be a nerd to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a club. I'm just saying. So that was it. Now we can move on to whatever you guys want to talk about. I just thought it was important to nail.
If I could pull it from nerdom from my generation, then so G.I. Joe, they always had the public service announcements that ended in "and now you know," and knowing is half the battle. So now I know where nerd came from.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as an educator, I love learning things. So thank you so much, Ms. Thompson.
This is what I do. I mean, I do a column for the Gemstone weekly newsletter, and it consists of my doing the 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, et cetera, anniversaries. And I learn something every time I do it. It's like, oh, I haven't heard of this person, or I whatever, because I've constructed it, but every month I add to it because I learned something about things. So, there's a Crockett Johnson anniversary coming up, and he was one of the most amazing comic strip people in the universe, et cetera. And he did Harold and the Purple Crayon, but the comic strip people know him from Barnaby. And
yeah, okay.
For our audience who does not, yes, is that a shoe behind you?
Schmoo.
A schmoo.
It's a schmoo. Yeah.
They're tasty
and what was
and
schmoo
delicious.
from?
Lil Abner.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
do you remember that the schmoo was created as a comment on society and corporations and the necessity of workers to corporations? Do we know this?
Yes. Yeah.
Some of us do, or some of us claim we do.
So, yeah, I remember. I can remember reading Little Abner.
Oh yeah, my father looked just like Little Abner, so I read it all the time.
And this is not an actual schmoo. I hasten to say it is merely a schmoo doll, because if it were an actual schmoo and I was hungry and I looked at it with
You could-
adoration, it would drop dead so I could eat it. And
Uh-huh.
the whiskers would be the toothpicks that I could use, etc.
What a
I
crazy
seem to remember
creation.
it from my childhood. And I was like, okay, I know I knew him from somewhere. Had a cartoon starting in '79. So that would have placed it in my young days.
There we go.
We're gonna have a break in here for a brief break here because I want to introduce you to our audience. We haven't actually introduced you. Maggie Thompson and Don Thompson began what we could currently call comic book fandom in 1960. Was it
61?
61?
Participated in 60, but yes.
Yes, way the timey-wimey way back machine, long before, if we got in the blue telephone box and went back,
Thank you.
Before the World Wide Web. I know that for a lot of you people, that is really hard to imagine, but there was a time before.
Yeah, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth.
and that is we had to get all of our comic book information from these things called newspapers.
Yeah.
And the
Comic
very
art.
first very first comic book fanzine came from Don and Maggie Thompson, and it went from there. Would you like to say the events that led up to Comics Buyer's Guide?
Well, the year before, so 1960 was the World Science Fiction Convention. And Dick and Pat Lupoff came to the costume competition as Captain and Mary Marvel.
Oh, man.
We started to talk about, now understand that when Don and I, the first day Don and I met, which was in 1957, we talked solid pop culture all day. It wasn't called pop culture because there was no such term in 1957, but Don was a science fiction fan. My mom wrote science fiction. You've never heard of her, but she
won an award.
Well, no, she was nominated for a Hugo, but she did not get a Hugo for her story, right? Yes, but she was in the best science fiction of 1952. Blah blah blah.
You hung around with that crowd.
And my first World Science Fiction Convention, I was 12. And so I got to see, Anthony Boucher, her editors. There was a hilarious, I'm still trying to find a con report that specifies exactly what it was. There was a drama put on by the celebrities called Science Fiction Carol. So it was the story of somebody who wanted to be a professional science fiction writer. And he was writing, and there was the editor. And so the Tiny Tim character, played by Fritz Leiber,
oh my!
Yes, took it to the science fiction editor, who was played by Anthony Boucher, who was the editor of Fantasy and Science Fiction, and Boucher is looking at it, and he goes, "Oh, this is the resolution of the story," and he says, "The manuscript. Oh, this is terrible. No, that's hacked." Those, oh, that's magnificent. I will pay you a nickel a word. It is so grand. It summarizes the world. The story is, the two-word story is the end. Okay.
And a nickel a word was a lot back then.
Yeah, it was way top. Hey, nobody made a nickel a word. And so he has in his hand, he has pennies. And Leiber's holding his hand out, and Boucher goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Forey Ackerman walks by, and he goes 10. That's your agent's. So, I mean, it was an incredible show, but I can't remember all the details. I know Judy, the Ghost of Science Fiction yet to come, but etc. So anyway, that was my first science fiction convention. And then, as I say, I met Don in 1957. And so we talked about pop culture, old time radio, which at that point was not really old time, and detective stories and so forth. He was going to Penn State and blah, 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 blah. But we talked about it. And then within a short time, Humbug #1 came out, and he folded it over, put it in a number 10 envelope, and sent it to me. Said, I didn't know if you'd seen it. So that was Harvey Kurtzman's follow-up to Mad. Mm-hmm. And so it began. But it was in the 1960 World Con when Dick and Pat Lupoff went and then handed out copies of Zero, which we didn't realize they were doing at the time. But in Zero was an installment of something they called And All in Color for a Dime. That was the first installment. And it was about Fawcett's Captain Marvel. And Don wrote OK Axis, Here We Come, which was the third installment. And Dad taught me how to cut mimeograph stencils. He was a college professor equipped to teach me how to cut. By the way, I can still do it, just in case stencils cut. I'm not talking ditto, I'm talking mimeograph. Anyway, so I cut the art because we had a friend, Bill Thailing, who had back issues of comics. He was a comics and pulp dealer, and I was able to take them, use that for the images. I'd never even read these Marvel, superhero things from the 1940s, but I did the illustrations for Zero, etc. And but then Don and I said, well, hey, we could actually do something about comic art in general, and did.
And then you were hired by Krause Publications.
Not right away.
Not right away? No, not right away. That was in 83, wasn't it?
We were hired in 1982.
82.
Yes. And our first issue was February 1983, yes.
And that was, today we go on the internet and we read various the Comics Beat or
the most recent comics news.
Comics news.
The thing is that Heidi McDonald, for example, is an actual journalist doing actual journalism, and that was one of the things that Chet wanted to bring to the world of comics.
I remember Chet.
And he was wonderful, and he was a nerd in many fields. So he started as a coin nerd, created numismatist, yes, numismatist, yes, exactly, and so brought people from literally from around the country to work at his paper. And then he was a fan. He collected vehicles, so he had there was a Lions Club meeting or something, and he showed some of his collection, and that just grew.
And he had a World War II collection.
He had a collection of every of the type of vehicle that had been in his unit during World War II. So he not only had a Jeep, he not only had an ambulance, he not only had a food truck, he not only had a tank, he had a tank recovery vehicle. And yes, and so on. And so on the 4th of July parades through town, he
was half the parade.
Well,
sounds like.
And like Brent Frankenhoff, who was assistant editor back in the day of Comics Buyer's Guide, drove the tank. So, I got to ride in a Rambler that was entirely made of wood.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So,
by the way, Krause Publications was here in Wisconsin, so I was able to go up and see a lot of the good stuff myself.
Well, one of the problems that we had was that it went from basically being camera ready fan stuff to being typeset and a newspaper, and everybody said, oh, the world has gone berserk, big company corporates are taking over. It's basically, they thought we had like a business. And Chet said, how do we get past it? How do we tell people we're just fans? We're just nerds. We're just he didn't say that, but we're just folks. And we're not big corporate business types. And we had every summer presided over a picnic at our house back in Ohio. And we said, well, why don't we throw a picnic and just invite all the people in the area to come? And we did.
And they would fly in from Marvel and DC too.
I'm just saying. So yeah. This is the world.
It was in driving distance for me, which was nice, but
yes. Exactly.
Now, for a very, very long time, Comics Buyer's Guide was the place, the only place to go for comic book news, what was happening in the industry.
Reliable comic book news.
Right.
journalistically, blah blah.
Yeah, and you guys would report on conventions. You would talk about, you would profile artists, have obits, and of course you would also have buying tips. You know, what was
Well, we did a price guide.
a price guide.
Yep.
Yeah.
Etc. Yeah. We were covering undergrounds, I think, when Overstreet didn't, and etc. I mean, you know, you try to, you're not trying to put anybody else out of business. You're trying to say what isn't being done that we could do.
Yeah. What niche can we fill? Yeah.
What can we fill? Exactly. So that was what we did. And now understand, when I say Don and I did it, again, Krause Publications was doing publications. They were doing Old Cars Weekly. They were doing Numismatic News. They were doing etc. And so we would send something to typesetting. The typesetters would typeset it. Then it would come back. We would proofread it. It would get etc. etc. And then initially they had a rough, and we would have strips of, I don't know, on proof paper. We would cut the proof and put it into a rough layout, and then it would go to the production department where the actual typesetting stuff was. People don't need to know this, but anyway, yeah. It wasn't Maggie cutting mimeograph stencils anymore.
It's what we do today with just a few keystrokes on a computer used to take a whole room full of people to actually execute. They had to type things out, and then they'd wax them to a piece of paper, and then they take a photo. Yeah, it's crazy.
At one point, we were competing with someone who had Quark, and we did not have page layout at that point. We were still stripping type, and we get etc. So we did eventually. We came into the whatever century it was.
So what was the first big convention that Krause sent you guys to?
Oh, right away we pitched them. I think it was San Diego and Chicago. And I mean, we would say what were the important conventions, and then they would send us to them if we could justify it. And definitely we did that first year. I mean, 1983, we went to San Diego. At one point, okay, here's behind the scenes anecdote number 11. Neither Don nor I went because our publisher had just married our ad manager, and they wanted a honeymoon. This is my interpretation. This is not what they said, but we didn't get to go. And oh, there we go. Burnished letters and numbers. Yeah, in the 80s for layout. There you go.
Yeah,
oh, exactly. Gray Wolf is showing his age. Gray Wolf.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I did that. Yeah, you did that. Now, before that, we had a lettering guide. We had a lettering guide for mimeographs. So you would put it on the thing and then cut again, etc. And I had different fonts for the lettering guides in the stencils. Not that anybody knows. By the way, some people say, oh, I love mimeograph. That smell is so great. And I go, that was not mimeograph. That was spirit duplication. Ditto. Mimeograph ink through a hole, whereas Ditto is lifting it off. And the reason that Ditto has a smell is it's the chemicals that's lifting the ink off.
I remember the purple hue of the Ditto sheets. Very well.
Yes, my mom had one of those.
And not only that, but there were comics fanzines that were done on Ditto. Many were done on Ditto.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the primary advantages there is you could do 4-color. And it seems to me, I recall that South Africa had yellow Ditto masters. So there was a big, oh boy, we can import Ditto masters from South Africa so they could put yellow coloring on the thing. There we go. Oh, look, here we go.
Gray Wolf, I'll be 66 next month. I just meet you there in February, kiddo.
Woo!
First illustration job I had was 1984 for a chapter in a dental textbook. The publisher used my artwork for the promo sheet. It's weird how a lot of us started in like textbooks and stuff like that.
I was a pre-professional assistant children's librarian.
Yeah, you were a librarian.
That was after we had started comic art. But by the way, that was I didn't know that Towa Janssen did Moolman. My first exposure to Moolman, who is in this chair, was with a British translation in a comic strip done by Tola Janssen's brother. So just saying. So Snork made, if you go to Barnes and Noble these days, you may find Moomin, which is where I found Moomin. And
Moomin.
he's sitting next to Bartleby, who's one of the characters in Jeff Smith's Bone.
Yes.
Oh my.
Just,
very schmooish.
Isn't that a great doll? No, the schmoo is Moomin.
Do you remember,
R2.
Maggie, do you remember down here in Madison, they used to have the Capital City Expo every year?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember one year going to the expo. This is Capital City Distribution.
Right.
And there was this guy, this young fellow set up with he had a card table. That's all he had. And he was giving out these tiny little booklets. And the book's name was Bone. That was my first exposure to Jeff Smith stuff. He had a little card table. That's all he had at the expo.
He has now, by the way, published. He did it as a comic strip for at UW, and he has now. Was it at UW? Anyway, when he was in college, it was his comic strip was a preliminary to Bone, and he has now published a collection of the strip he did for the college newspaper.
Wow.
So if you see Bone, and it was Thorn was the primary character. You can now buy that as a trade paperback. It's very good.
How many years have you been going to Comic-Con?
Well,
San Diego.
1976 was our first one. Our daughter was 9. Our son was 4. And a sample of that experience was one of the celebrities there who leaned over to the 9-year-old Valerie and said, "What would you like me to do? I can do Bugs Bunny. I can do Porky Pig. I can do Tweety. I can do Sylvester. What would you like me to do?" And clearly, Mel Blanc did that whenever he saw a little kid. I mean, just to give them a thrill. And she said, and I would guess that she is the only human being who ever asked him this. She was familiar because we played old time radio. She was familiar with one of the shows that we loved. And she said, "I want you to do Jack Benny's car." And he said, he did a reaction, and then he said, "Stand back, kid, you're gonna get wet." Because in order to do it, and I am not going to spew it in the way, this is my bad Mel Blanc impression. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that you got at Comic-Con. So anyway, as I say, 1976, and our awards, which you can't see because I haven't got the thing. Anyway, it's over my doorway, is one for me and one for Don, and it's we got our Inkpot awards for I think services to fandom.
So
Yeah,
cool.
I think so. I think that was it. Have you ever missed one?
Oh yeah, well as noted. I told you. Yeah, we couldn't afford to go. An Inkpot lets you get in forever, but the housing is one consideration.
Oh yeah.
And when you're a fan, it's travel and whatever. So we pitched for our first year at Krause was we should go. We should say Comics Buyer's Guide is a going concern, and we should be represented there. And we can sell ads, blah blah. And so that was 1983. As I say, there was the 1 year when we didn't get to go at all. And there were, I think, 2 years, one Don got to go and one I got to go. And then from that point on, we both went. If you get Mark Hamill's movie, Comic Book the Movie, he called it his love letter to Comic-Con. And the premise is so nerdy. Okay, anecdote number 72 about the 1976 Comic-Con, if you're ready.
Okay.
So one of the things that would happen is people who had projects that were coming up, they would go to promote them, obviously try to pre-sell them. And one person there said to Don and me, he said, I know that you're science fiction fans. You came out of that world. You're used to productions where the rocket ships are all shiny and new and oh boy, how exciting. He said, but if you think about it in the future, people would be used to rocket ships. You just kind of kick around. They'd be kind of dirty and, you know, things would go. I mean, they'd be old to the people of the future. And so that's our setup for this movie that we're going to release next year. And it stars this young man. You've never heard of him, but he's a wonderful, wonderful actor. And his name is Mark Hamill. And we said, we love Mark Hamill. He was in a sitcom you guys haven't heard of, but we loved. It ran half a season. It was called The Texas Wheelers. It was an amazing, it came from the MTM studios. And so I don't know if you remember at the end of the Mary Tyler Moore show, that there'd be this little orange cat come out.
Yep.
Meow. Okay. The little cat that came out at the end of Texas Wheelers was very much like Jack Elam, who was the primary star of Texas Wheelers. He was a character actor we adored. Always rough. He'd play like the second villain, so he would get killed just before.
I remember Jack Elam.
Okay, Jack Elam was fantastic. And so he was in this, so we watched it from the beginning. And the premise was that the father had left the family, the mother died, and the father is now back to take charge in the family. And his first line is something like, it's your loving daddy come to stay. And the two teenage boys hate him because he'd left, etc. So they had lots of fights and whatever. Well, Mark Hamill, it was Gary Busey and Mark Hamill. And it was incredible. Here's a sample line. Is the one I quote just because it's so typical. It was brilliantly scripted. So one of the teenage boys is in the other room and you can just kind of hear it in the background. And you hear the teen boy is like with a girl and you hear her say, no, I'm not that kind of girl yet. Brilliant script. So, as I say, Mark, so we said we love Mark Hamill. He's fantastic. It's so great. He's in something. And the public relations guy said, well, he's a little bit of a problem. What? Well, he's a comics fan.
Oh, gee.
And he's not in this country. So the studio has to see to it that he doesn't miss the comics he's following when he is overseas.
Oh, wow. So he has a pull list, is what you're saying, that they have the studio has to attend to his pull list.
In the 1975, 1976, they had to make sure that Mark didn't get it. So Mark is a comics fan, and he did what he said it was his love letter to Comic-Con. It's called Comic Book the Movie, and the premise is basically if Jerry Bales and Roy Thomas, who created Alter Ego, which was the first superhero fanzine, they're at Comic-Con, and this film studio is trying to make a movie of a superhero, Commander Courage. And they're doing the current version of Commander Courage. And Mark Hamill and Tom Kenny, who's the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, are trying to convince the studio guys, no, you should do the Golden Age character, the original Commander Courage. The entire the production is entirely improv. The professional cast is voice artists. So as I say, it's Mark Hamill, who did the Joker voice. It's Tom Kenny. It's Jess Harnell, who was Wacko Warner in Animaniacs. He plays the stoner cameraman, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody from Futurama plays the grandson of the original creator of Commander Courage. I have a T-shirt. A Commander Courage T-shirt that's have courage. Anyway. Uh, so they would tell the premise. They would go around to all the booths and tell the premise of this is that we were supposed to say how much we loved Commander Courage. And that's what it was. So it was improv from there. And then they put it together, and it is a movie. You can find it. It is out of print technically, but you can find it on eBay. It's just called Comic Book the Movie. And so in my case, Jess Harnell playing the stoner cameraman had, and the camera crew is actually filming it, but he's playing the cameraman, and he points the camera at me and he says, "Hey, what if the Hulk wasn't green? Wouldn't that be crazy?" And I said, "Well, the Hulk was originally not green." Whoa. And so, yeah, because he wasn't. He was gray originally.
He was gray, yeah.
Yes. And so, I mean, it was just a conversation and etc. So
but it was all improvised. You didn't have a script of any kind.
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
They would pitch you stuff and you just come back.
I did not know until this year that Jess Harnell's father was involved with the Hulk TV show. Oh no, I didn't. But yeah, so
I heard that Mark Hamill used to like to run around Comic-Con in disguise so nobody would know who he was, just so he could get his shopping done.
Yes. There was the year he wore an orange Darth Vader costume. And nobody knew it was a political commentary. And nobody knew, but they took photos with him because they thought it was funny, and then found out after the convention.
He's not the only one that's done that sort of thing, though. There's quite a few actors who've gotten their shopping done on the floor by, dressing up. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is part of the fun of Comic-Con. And as noted, we had fun there this year. I never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen, what you're going to find, what you're going to buy, what conversations you're going to have, etc.
I register professionally every year, and then I don't end up going because I can't afford it.
Yeah, it's just, and like you said, the hardest part is finding a place to stay. The 2 times I went, I roomed with 5 other guys in one hotel room.
Yeah,
so,
it used to be back in the day. I would call up my favorite hotel, which was the Horton Grand. I'd book a room, and I'd book a flight, and I'd go out, and that was it, But now it's this whole lottery system and everything.
Yeah, it's an ordeal.
I know it's just too much, and it's gotten so huge that you can't find anybody.
Well, that's why we have cell phones and
GPS. Yes,
I will just say, and you never know what's going to happen. So my grandson is fascinated with voice artistry, and this was about 5 years ago. And after Mark Evanier did his cartoon voice panel, Devin wanted to meet Tatasciore, Fred Tatasciore, who did the voice of the Hulk. Here's the Hulk again, and so I talked to Mark. I said, could I introduce him? And so Fred talked Hulk voice to Devin, and Devin talked Hulk voice back to yes, and so Hulk voice conversation. And the next year, Fred took me aside. Sort of repeated. So now they know each other. And Fred took me aside and he said, "I want you to know," he said, the vocal cords are your voice box is an instrument, and Devin's is a Stradivarius. He can do things that other people can't. He has an amazing voice. So
he does. He's done it for me. We use, and when I do go out to San Diego, Maggie takes me for breakfast a lot. And I remember the last time I was there, Devin was doing voices for me, and I was stunned. And he was quite young then.
Yes.
He wasn't he was like sophomore in high school, maybe something like that.
That could be. Now he had his champagne birthday a year ago. So, and he was very careful, by the way. No liquor passed his lips until he was 21. And I had to go out and be there for his birthday so he could have his first.
Good for him. He impressed me back then. I think the 25th anniversary of Malibu Comics was the last time I was out there.
Well, and he's very focused on his art now. So as opposed to voice. So for example, he's doing monsters and so forth. This is can't make it clear, but it's a monster plant watercolor that he did. So anyway, that's his current thing. Is daily working on basically a monster that I don't understand at all. Something about a pumpkin, a mother pumpkin, and evil.
Well, I know Maggie very well. We've known each other for as long as I've been in comics. But you two, if you would like to ask questions, go for it, please.
Go ahead, John.
Gosh, I'm trying to. I should have prepared. Oh my god. Okay, so I was working in comic shops in the late 80s, early 90s. Really like 91 is when I started. Through college when I graduated in 96. So that's kind of like my time frame. Did you know ahead of time, or did you get it when it arrived? Peter David's reaction to the debate between him and Todd McFarlane for But I Digress. And what was your reaction when you saw the written response?
It was, here's Peter responding, and Peter responds, and the deal was Peter responds. And builds interest, let's put it that way. And I get along with both. One of the situations in my life is trying to get along with everybody.
She does a really good job of it too.
I don't know anyone on any side of any tracks that has anything bad to say about Maggie Thompson. It doesn't happen.
No, I was just
doesn't happen.
That piece of George Perez art is so iconic now. You know, it's just like, what was it like when you saw it for the first time? Like, what was that like, a visceral feeling? Like,
well, I mean, I know that's, as you say, iconic, but we were getting cool stuff all the time. And I mean, if you think that the fact that I have like a Bill Wog and Katie Keene drawing done just as a Christmas contribution, it's hanging upstairs. I'm just saying.
Oh my.
Yeah. It's part of the excitement. You don't want profanity. I mean, we had our rules. There was one sample, is the famous name withheld letter.
I was just gonna go there because I know who it was.
You do?
I worked with him.
Okay. You may be amused to know I don't remember, because we swore if the name is withheld, we will withhold it. Gender, anything, nope, no hints. And I literally do not remember who it was. So
that is the best way to go.
You have to wait until after we sign off and we're saying
in the green room
in private chat
to talk about that.
Reveal it.
No, but seriously, you keep your word, because the other thing was people would send us anonymous letters, and we said we will not ever print an anonymous letter if we don't know who it's from, but we will withhold the name or address or whatever on request. And for professionals, we would withhold the address, etc. So, you know, you do your journalistic whatever the heck, and you correct their spelling because you're nice.
Yeah, and I jumped on that one too fast. I didn't really work with the name withheld. I worked with somebody who was tangential, who wrote a question follow-up that got published. So yeah, but so I was 2 steps down from that.
But do you know who name withheld is?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not gonna it's still being withheld.
If Miss Thompson
probably
is
best
not saying,
it is.
I'm not saying.
I was never given permission. I have never been given permission.
Right.
That's it.
There you go. So you
That's
can't
it.
know.
Nope.
It's journalistic ethics. Yes.
Yep, that's right. At least, there is that still does exist in this world. Um, and as Comics Buyer's Guide really took off, I'm sure that the stuff that rolled in there became very eye-popping. What would you say would be the most amazing piece of artwork somebody sent in?
Oh, I was going to go in a different direction.
Okay, go ahead and go in a different direction.
Okay, this is very weird.
The weirder, the better.
Weird and off topic in an odd way. The most impressive, jaw-dropping thing we ever got when we were working at Krause along these lines. When Chet hired us, he bought 2 magazines that Alan Light was doing. High school student Alan Light had created not only the Buyer's Guide for Comic Fandom, but he also did a publication called Film Collector's World. We changed the title to Movie Collector's World because film was very specific and there was all sorts of yammering. Everybody hated everybody in that subscription group because the ones who actually collected film hated the ones who were doing videotape, and the ones who collected 8mm silent film hated the 16mm sound collectors. And they both
lots of gatekeepers.
They hated the poster people who wanted the etc.
Lots of gatekeepers.
Okay.
A lot of subgenres.
The subgenres. So we changed the title to Movie Collector's World. And just as we were doing that, one of the first page 1 stories that we did was an article by Lawrence Watt Evans, who was a science fiction writer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you recall the Golden Turkey Awards that the Medved brothers did, but they declared, it was a book about bad movies and making fun of the really bad movies, the Golden Turkey Awards.
Kind of like today's Razzies.
And they declared that Plan 9 from Outer Space was the worst movie ever made. Lawrence Watt Evans did a piece that we put on the front page that said, you think Plan 9 from Outer Space is the worst movie ever made. It was not. The worst movie ever made was a film called Creature of Destruction, which was a remake, I believe, was of The She Creature. It was done by Larry Buchanan, and it starred the bland Aaron Kincaid as the feature character, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we ran it. Cute. Haha. Over the transom, we got an article from Aaron Kincaid who said, Lawrence Watt Evans says, Creature of Destruction is the worst movie ever made. He is absolutely correct. It was a disaster. It was not bland. I was blind, as in blind drunk on Grand Marnier. But I had to be to get through filming this horrible, horrible movie.
He wasn't bland. He was blind drunk.
Blind drunk.
Not bland,
Absolutely.
blind drunk.
And he said also that he had been subscribing to Film Collector's World, and every time he would see a copy print for sale, he would buy it in order to destroy it. Of seeing that there were no copies available. And he said the most recently he had ordered it from somebody, and he said the response from the seller was, "Have you seen it?"
Are you sure I want to read this one?
Exactly. So who could expect that? And so again, a voice artist, by the way, Aaron Kincaid, DC character in Batman. Just saying, Killer Croc. You needed to know that. It was a detail.
That's right.
It's where all this stuff, all these little pieces of information that I know, you overwhelm me. There's no way I could even come close. But I have little bits of information like that stuffed in this head. But you have even more. So
do have stuff.
I'm not worthy.
Here's something I have. Do we all know what this is?
Well, hang on here.
Oh, it's a comic strip.
yes. Yeah,
those are letterpress, right?
Yeah.
It's a newspaper printing plate.
Yeah,
Yes.
letterpress.
Hot
Yeah,
type,
letterpress
hot type.
plate.
Yes, it's an actual. I use it as paperweight. Don worked for the Cleveland Press.
Oh my!
You use
Yeah,
it
that
for a
was
paper
put on.
plate.
That was put on the big rollers.
On
That
the presses.
yeah.
Do you
on the
still-
presses.
Do you still have a warehouse, a temperature-controlled warehouse full of comics?
It is. Well, actually, technically, I built an addition on my house.
Roland says, Maggie.
Well, I
Rolling
sold 101 comics thanks to All-Star. Anyway, it's Nadia Manarino and her husband sold 101 comic books, and that was enough to build an addition on the house and the rolling shelves, because you need rolling shelves and etc. And the guy doing the thing is that Krause Publications had installed rolling shelves, and I said, "Ooh, that's a kind of a nice thing." And I said, "Do you do them for just houses?" And he said, "Well, I can. Do you have an architect?" And I said, "No." And he said, "I've always wanted to be an architect." And so the guy doing the rolling shelves designed
The
addition.
You lucked out.
I did.
How many square feet of storage do you have just for your comics?
I don't know. It's not just comics though. It's books. Come on, guys. It's not just comics.
Oh,
It's books. It's good.
yes. I have the same affliction. We have books and comics both.
Yeah, but you don't have your own warehouse.
No, I do have my own floor of my house.
This is just an addition on my house. People think it's a garage. It's about the size of your garage. So I mean, it's not that much. And
20 by 20.
I don't know. It's just and it goes. And he said it's cheaper to build up than out. So you know, I actually have to climb a ladder. And climbing a ladder for a short box. By the way, don't use long boxes. Never, never, never.
Moving away from those myself. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I got a hernia once. It was in the attic, and I pulled the box wrong, and it was like yuck. So, yep, you can put T-shirts in there, but not actual comics. Just saying, piece of advice.
Barb, can I do another CBG memory?
You betcha.
Okay, so growing up, the first artist that I actually took notice of that became my favorite artist.
Roland says he got rid of all of his long boxes a long time ago. Short boxes only.
Short boxes only. Good.
Yeah, I think those are definitely the most portable. But so, the first artist that grabbed my attention, I'm like, okay, this is my favorite artist. Who progressed to be my favorite artist was Rob Liefeld, who, hit it big, really New Mutants, then X-Force. Precursor to Image was when he was going to self-publish. He placed an ad in CBG called The Executioners, which Marvel came back to him and said, way too close. It got renamed Berserkers. And then he later launched Youngblood through Malibu, because Malibu was going to do all the packaging, publishing, and the artists that were doing the Image stuff were, doing.
Yeah, Image is all Malibu's fault.
Well, Malibu, they were there for the support systems, that's for sure.
Yeah, they were the enablers. They were the enablers.
But yeah, so, seeing that Executioners ad and then knowing the story that was really kind of the launching place of Image, because Rob was going to be using that Image logo on his own, or at least the Image name. It's
the guys kind of got together.
Actually, he had put it
ganged up.
Yeah, when they were leaving, yeah. Yeah, but I think he had self-published something, or at least prints or something with that logo once or twice. But yeah, to see that Executioners thing, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then the book didn't materialize, but they retooled it as Berserkers, and that was really, really cool. So I've got so many copies still in my mom's basement. Mom sometimes are you ever gonna move your stuff out? I'm like, Mom, it's free storage. I don't think so. But no, oh my God, I loved your publication, and it was so impactful on me, during that time. Thank you so much.
Glad to help.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
This is why. Well, and I actually still do a project, which as a monthly, it's a weekly thing that has a monthly deadline. As I say, I just do the anniversaries, and it keeps me involved. and I don't read as many. I just Uncle Scrooge. There was a Uncle Scrooge thing that I for Free Comic Book Day. I was going, oh, I need this and this, and supporting the local comic shop. CBG is missed by me too, Roland.
Yeah, right.
Roland's right.
Me too.
Well,
I was a subscriber.
I've got hanging around here somewhere because I was in it.
I have a box of them somewhere.
Well, I will say that what killed it was twofold. So do we know what killed CBG?
The web?
No, Wizard.
Say what?
So Wizard started.
No.
And then CBG.
It's a whole
didn't
different
you guys
thing.
go to like a smaller format later on?
We did. We did two different formats. There was it started out newspaper size, then it went down to tabloid size, then it went to magazine.
Right.
But when eBay came along, it was predicted, oh no, because then CBG won't have its advertisers, and it did hurt the classified ads a little bit, but not a lot. And no, what killed it was Diamond.
Oh,
think about it.
Previews?
There you go.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. Once there is one distributor, we had
That's right.
competing distributors.
Yeah, Capital City.
Friendly Franks out by us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same for us. Yeah.
Okay. And then once there's one distributor, where are you going to advertise? Are you going to advertise in the newspaper? Or are you going to advertise in the
previews
shopping list? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what did it.
Oh.
And we ended with issue 1699.
Oh,
Yes, and bless Roy Thomas's heart, he did the next issue of Alter Ego was basically our issue 1700. He took, Peter David, he took all our columnists so they could do one final, issue. It was very kind. So, that's what it was. And people said, oh, you should have done issue 1700. And I go, it would have been smaller than a comic book. I mean, it would have been an embarrassment as opposed to giving our folks the venue they needed.
The quality send off.
Yeah, exactly.
but you do a blog, don't you?
I am embarrassed to say I have a website that I have not properly updated, and my daughter has been getting me to do it. And it was John Jackson Miller. By the way, New York Times best-selling author John Jackson Miller.
I've had him on.
New York Times bestseller, who's been spending every frickin' weekend at a convention, I swear, for the last year. He went to Greece with his wife this year at a comics convention. And he had set up my website initially as a blog, which is what I wanted, but he doesn't do that anymore for some reason. Going off to do his own stuff was, I know, weird, huh? And so I had somebody come and try to, he set it up, but it's not working right. So I'm in the midst of the thing. Yes, I just want it to be a blog. For one thing, it's my own diary. If I need to know something about my past, I go to MaggieThompson.com and go, when was that? And then, here's a photo of my mom, or here's the picnic news, or whatever it is. It's a good reference for me. So
I had John on a year or so ago here.
Really, it's not really what I want it to be. My goal is by next year. I want it to work again because I just want to blog. I want to do.
It gives you something to do regularly.
No, it gives me a place to make notations aside from on my computer here, where I'm working on 80,000 different things, including a presentation. Oh, for the Historical Society. Yes. The Historical Society here said, we want you to do a presentation. And I said, about what? And it was very much like this, by the way. It was, just talk about stuff. So I prepped for this by
doing that.
I got things like, as noted, here's comic art. This was the last issue of comic art. Here's an anecdote about this.
Okay.
Silent Generation, that's me. So we had a whole bunch we had been corresponding with Carl Barks. Carl Barks was never permitted to sign his work.
You're kidding.
No, ever.
No.
But the fans
Walt
found
Disney. Yeah.
Right. the fans found out who Carl Barks was. Oh, there he was. We're Letraset dry transfer. Yep, absolutely.
Crepe tape for lines.
I don't think this crepe is spelled correctly. I think it's CREPE with an accenty thing. But in any case,
that's the editor coming out.
That's the editor, exactly. So the deal was that we had been corresponding, and in fact, we sent the first comic art #1. We sent to Carl Barks, and so we were correspondents. One of the things we wanted, we had a fireplace, and we wanted a big painting of Scrooge McDuck, right? For over
he
the
was doing that then, yeah.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
No,
Ooh.
he was not.
He
He didn't have the license. He didn't have the license in 1961. And
61. No,
absolutely not.
No.
I do have a painting by Carl. It's hanging in the upstairs hall. It's a mini landscape. It's about this big, and it's an abandoned adobe house, and there's a driveway going up to it, but in the foreground is a mailbox that's empty, but birds have built a nest in it. And he said he thought of us because of our correspondence. So he sold it to us for the price of materials. He sold it to us for $18.
Jesus.
Oh my.
I know. No, he was so sweet. So anyway.
Yeah, that's priceless. Yeah.
We had been corresponding, and so Mike Barrier had done, we had interviews, we did various things. Well, in order to do it, we understand publishing, we understand copyright, and we wanted to reproduce his art. And so we wrote to Disney, and we said, we need we want to run this with permission. Please give us permission. So that, and by the way, I cut this stencil, I'll have you know. And Disney responded, not only do you not have permission to reproduce any of the art, we don't want you to do the article at all. Because the children of America think Walt Disney writes and draws the comics, and we do not want to disappoint the children of America.
Oh, good God.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That was their thinking. Yep.
And then Disney died. And
Scrooge McDuck was still drawn.
And they said, oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah, that'd be great. So, yes. So it's all sorts of art. It's an interview. The article is The Duck Man. And it's an interview, but then there's also, for example, did you know that because of a story he did, there was an inventor that was denied a patent because Carl had actually invented it?
No.
It was how to raise a sunken vessel, and the ducks
with balloons underneath.
No, tennis balls.
Okay.
And push down.
They have air in them.
Yes,
they have gas in them. But yeah.
It's lighter, and it raised the boat up. So that violated. The guy couldn't get a patent because of Carl.
Wow.
And he was wonderful. By the way, in that 1976 trip to California, we went up the coast after Comic-Con, and we got to visit Carl and Gary Barks. And
when did he start doing the paintings?
He licensed it later. He licensed it after he had retired from the comic book.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah,
right. Yeah. He was a licensee of Disney, and that was the point at which he could do it. But the prices, of course, by that.
Oh yeah. But he got a lot of commissions.
He did.
That's how he took care of himself in his later years.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and good for him.
Absolutely. And then he because he was now allowed to say who he was able to do more stuff. So at Comic-Con, he had agents that were, I have a thing with an autograph from him in the other room that they sold at Comic-Con, a framed thing with a duck thing and a photo of him and a whatever. And it was damn right. I want that. I also have over here, I actually blush to admit that I have an envelope from him. I screwed up his bank account because he paid us for a subscription to our newsletter, our Newfangles newsletter, and we never cashed it. We just sent it. So it's a Carl Barks check is sitting over there because he doesn't get to pay us for anything. So he was wonderful.
Well, Maggie, we could go on for 2 or 3 more hours.
I suspect we all need to go to bed. My usual,
but our hour is up.
is like 2 hours ago. Yes. So if I rattle on,
I would
silent generation.
definitely love to have you on a half a dozen more times in the future, if you would be willing to come back.
I think it could be arranged.
Or I'm sure that Roland would probably love to have you on the Sunday night show too, because I mean, we didn't even start touching on like Jack Kirby or Roland says yes. Because we get together and we can talk for hours. So
well, have done so in the past. And so yes. Anyway, fun guys. Thanks for the fun, and everybody have a good night's sleep and wake up happy in the morning, as my mom used to say.
Yep.
It has been such an honor to meet you and talk to you. Oh my God, thank you so much.
Well, fans, we're all fans, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Come on, guys.
Exactly.
Well, I'm certainly one of yours. So
hang out just a bit after we sign off here, and we can say goodbye in person. But as we like to say at the end of every stream, everybody,
make mine Silverline.
Silverline.
Hi, I'm Dave Dorman. Make mine Silverline.